Callum is a recent college graduate from a well-off family with a rich father who is in the business of publishing, but Callum's mother was unlucky enough to suffer from severe depression and was very weak. For years, her father took care of her. At this time, Callum was very confused and could not find a direction in life. He wanted to become a writer, but his father stopped him. He thought that this career is too idealistic and it is difficult to make a career. The relationship between father and son is divided. In order to prove his father wrong, Callum moved away from the rich neighborhood, rented a cheap apartment in a corner of New York, and began to live like an ascetic. In addition to figuring out what to do with his life, Kiersey spends his free time by his side. Although they had a one-night stand, they were not a couple. Callum is just a spare tire for Kiersey when he's lonely, just when he's worried about his career and relationship. A mysterious neighbor, Jeff, appeared. Jeff, like a wise old man, listens to Callum's worries and says that life is unpredictable and no one can predict what will happen next. Callum was enlightened and felt that the man in front of him was very different from his father. He seemed to know himself very well and could get rid of his confusion with a few words, but as soon as the crisis is solved, another problem arises. That day, Callum went to a bar to have a good time. Inadvertently, he saw his father and a strange woman in the year. At this time, he could not believe his eyes. He didn't realize that his father's feelings for his mother were all fake and that he was only acting out of duty. But his mother is seriously ill. And the consequences of his father's betrayal are unimaginable. So, he began a frantic brainstorming session to stop this incestuous affair. From morning to night, from the apartment to the cafe, he followed the third party who knew the woman was a socialite. He knew she was being followed.
They're Ethan's son. He keeps a picture of you on his desk.
The boy was embarrassed and felt that the woman in front of him was not easy to deal with. The woman's name is Kate. She is not afraid of this situation. She is very calm and confessed that she and Pierce have been in love for more than a year. Kate is a freelance editor. Because of the intersection of work, the two unknowingly came together. Callum doesn't care. He just wants to know if she's trying to steal his father from his mother. Kate is not impressed, but what she says next is a shocking revelation.
You're trying to make love to me.
I'm trying to make love to you. I'm trying to make love to you.
You just don't realize it.
It's a big party. Callum was there with his parents and, embarrassingly, the gorgeous Kate was there. Only, she's standing next to a strange man. Callum was clearly not happy. When they were alone, Callum sarcastically called Kate a slut. This completely enraged Kate, who said that her male companions had always been attracted to the same sex, and that they weren't what he thought they were. She only brought her along because she didn't want Callum's mother to get suspicious. Callum still won't let up and accuses her of using her beauty to confuse her father, Pierce, and force her mother out of the game. Kate laughs. Kate smiles frankly and says that the boy's story is a good one, like a young girl in love. She seems to have forgotten all the constraints and kissed the little puppy in front of her, taking advantage of everyone's dancing steps. The two of them both left their companions behind and left without a second thought. With all kinds of body friction, they came to Kate's home. The two were passionate and fancy. They became very close and spent a lot of time together. Callum was crazy about Kate. Kate also loved Callum's innocence, a simplicity she lost years ago. Now their relationship is growing stronger, but there's one major problem in the middle. Callum's father, Pierce, the father first, the son second. But Callum doesn't feel that he's stealing his father's woman, and he desperately wants Kate to stay away from his father and be his own exclusive memory. But at this point, the woman is also very confused. She is obsessed with Pierce's maturity and stability, but also covets Callum's innocence and naivety. Between the father and son, she is in a dilemma and does not know how to choose for a while. This woman has some serious skills. Kate has just gotten out of a man's bed and is now in love with his son, but she's so charming that both the man and the son are obsessed with her. Callum has been transformed since he met Kate. He thinks he's found true love. He's eager to share the good news with his neighbor Jeff. Jeff, on the other hand, believes that love is a difficult decision to make and that most people think they found it, but it's a different story. Callum asked him how many times he'd been in love. Jeff said it was only once, and the woman was taken away by a good friend. The two shared a deep connection, but she was already his. Before he left, Jeff took Callum's manuscript and told him he was going to fix it for him. He'd always encouraged the boy to write well. He encouraged the boy to write well. That day, Callum was called into his father's office, and he was a little nervous, thinking he'd found out about him and Kate, but he didn't. Pierce just wanted him to come and work at the publisher. Pierce just wanted him to come and work at the publishing house, so he could take over the business he'd worked so hard to build. But Callum refused, because writing had taken over everything. When Callum tried to talk to Jeff, he found out that he was a famous novelist who'd been doing nothing but writing. He's published 12 best-selling novels alone. Now he lives here incognito and is writing a novel based on Callum, the only living boy in New York. When Callum confronted him, Jeff had to admit everything. And Kate, under Callum's pressure, finally breaks up with Pierce and draws a line in the sand. unexpectedly. The next day at the ball, Kate gave Callum a heavy blow, saying that his father promised to divorce, agreed to give her a name. Callum is overwhelmed and rushes down the hall to make his father's affair with Kate public to the public, only to see his mother's long-lost smile. Callum has no courage and is left to bear the burden alone. Kiersey sensed Callum's strange behavior and rushed after him, saying that she had broken up with her boyfriend and wanted to have a future with him. But then, Callum's words made her feel like she was on ice.
Slept with Joanna, and I thought that I was in love with her.
In the pouring rain, a heartbroken Kiersey got on a bus and left him forever. When Callum returned home, he couldn't sleep for a long time, thinking that the woman he loved would soon become his stepmother. His heart was full of mixed feelings. So the next morning, he ran to his father's publishing house and told Kate everything, and told him everything.
We slept together. And not just once.
Pierce is furious and leaves the office in agony. After calling Callum a white knight, Callum then saw a picture of him playing tennis in the news. Suddenly he realizes Jeff, his neighbor, was in the picture, and it seemed to him that he understood something. He went to his neighbor's drinking spot and put the newspaper in front of him. Jeff, seeing that this was the end of the story, Jeff told him the story. More than 20 years ago, two boys and a pretty girl became best friends. One of the boys married the girl, but because of the boy's problems, they were unable to conceive a child. In order to be able to have a child of their own, the two had the ridiculous idea of getting another boy to help them out. And he was that boy. Callum sobs when he learns the truth. That Jeff is his real father. Pierce was his adoptive father, but had treated him as if he were his own for so many years. He always thought that his mother's depression was the result of his adoptive father's lack of care. He didn't realize that his mother's inability to love Jeff was the real cause of her illness. Is the real cause of her illness? This movie is the only living boy in New York. The story is about a young man, Thomas, who graduates from college, moves from his father's mansion to live in the neighborhood, and drifts through New York City. One day, Thomas accidentally discovers that his father is having an affair and tries to stop it, but he can't help but fall into the arms of the affair. Thomas is lost in the thrill and guilt of the affair. This is Seahorse Movie. Goo 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 goo.